All right, CNT120, Chapter 1 Lab. We're now on Layer 2. So Layer 2, as you see here, is really all about the NIC and the address burnt into the NIC or our MAC address. So on this part of our lab, we're going to really focus in on the NIC, the network card that connects our PC into the network to move data in and out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the back of our PC and we're going to find the NIC, find our network card. So we're going to follow the network patch cable into the back of the PC and I'm going to look at that port. Now, just to give you an idea what you're looking for, if I go take a peek at, this looks similar to what we have in the lab room, similar. Here's the front with the power button and everything. If I look at the back of it, I'm literally looking for this network port, this right here. That's my network card, my network port. That is what my patch cable is plugged into. This is a NIC or a network card that's integrated to the motherboard on the PC. So my network card is right there in my PC. That's what I'm looking for on the back of my PC. Now, as I take a look here, I want you to look closer. Next to that network card, next to that NIC, are little lights, and they look like so. So if I were to look closely at that network card, I'm going to find that there is a light that's pretty much solid, and there's another light that's blinking. The solid light is indicating there is a link. There is an electrical path between this PC and the network. So there is a link. It is connected. The activity light it'll be blinking, indicating, hey, I'm sending data or I'm receiving data. Then it'll stop. I'm sending data, I'm receiving data. That'll stop. Look for those on your network card. And if I see it lit up and I see it blinking, then I know this network card is functioning and moving data in and out of my PC at layer 2, if you will. So that's the next part. You're looking at literally the back of your PC, looking at the network card and seeing it have a link and move data. Well, now let's look at the network card from the operating system point of view. So we're going to open Device Manager and we're going to look at the network adapters. So I'm going to right click on Windows, and actually here's all the directions to do it. I'm going to right click on my Windows icon. I'm going to go to my Device Manager and I'm going to look for my network adapters. Here's my network adapters. I'm going to open it up. And we'll see a bunch in here. Some of these are virtual, some of these are real. We are looking for, right in here, there's a wireless NIC built in, and there's an Intel Ethernet connection. This is the actual NIC that's built into the motherboard. That one right there, the Intel NIC for our PC. I'm going to double click on that guy. When I do that, it brings up the properties of this NIC, including right off the bat here on the front page, it indicates this device is working properly. So as I look at the network card or my NIC in my Device Manager, that's giving me a clue that this NIC is functioning. And again, this is another rhetorical question. I'm just getting you thinking about, how do we know the layer 2 link or layer 2 function is working? Well, we're not done. Let's look at this a couple different ways. There's a couple different ways I can look at my network card or my network, my NIC in my computer. Let's now look at the network connections. So again, right-click Windows icon. We'll go to Network Connections, and we're going to locate the Ethernet NIC we're using, this guy right here. So as I look at the Ethernet NIC that I'm using, does it show a connection out to the internet? Well, actually it does. So that's letting me know, again, my network card or my NIC is functioning. Well, let's look at it in another way. Let's look at network and sharing. I'm going to close this and I'll redo my steps for network and sharing. Right-click the Windows icon. We'll go to Network Connections again. And we're going to look for the Network and Sharing Center right here. When I click this, for a lot of you, this is going to look very familiar. This is the view that we're used to from like Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 8. This is what we're used to seeing. So now that I have the Network and Sharing Center open, here's my Ethernet NIC. Okay, I'm going to open that. That is the actual NIC that's built into our motherboard. I'm going to open that, and this gives me a little window showing me some detail about that. IP4 says there's internet access. It's enabled. It's showing the bandwidth, and it's even showing here data moving in and out, if you will. If I literally watch for a little bit, you'll see some bytes sent, and then eventually you'll see maybe some bytes received. This is letting me know that my network card, my NIC, my layer 2 connection is functioning. And that's from my Network and Sharing Center. Okay. Well, let's look at it again in a different way. Let's look at our command prompt. So I'm going to close all these. I'll close those, close that. Okay. Let's look at it at command prompt, because we use command prompt a lot for things in IT. So I'm going to open my command prompt. There is a shortcut down here on the start bar, or the taskbar down here, that I can use. Or if I click the Windows icon and just start typing command prompt, it'll bring it up and I can launch it that way. Either way gets the job done. All right, I'm going to use that one. What I want to issue here is the command ipconfig/all. So ipconfig /all. Watch your command syntax. Typos will give you errors. I'm saying, hey, give me all the IP configuration on this machine. You noticed a lot just scrolled by because we have a lot of virtual adapters in here. So I want to scroll up and I need to look for my Ethernet 3. So I'm going to scroll up, and the Ethernet 3 is the one we looked at earlier. Up here at the top, here's the host name and all that good stuff. Here's my Ethernet 3. This is the details about my NIC that I just looked at on the back of this computer. So we want to look at this, and we want to look for the physical address on this guy. So here's the, it's saying the DNS for here is hack.edu. Yes, we're connected in hack. Here's the actual NIC itself, Intel Ethernet, model number, blah, blah, blah. Here's the physical address. This is the actual MAC address that's burnt into this NIC. This is the identifier that's burnt into this NIC, and this identifier gets used on the network by things like switches to be able to move data from, oh, you want to go to that computer and it knows to pass it to this address. Oh, you want to go to that printer, so it passes it to the MAC address of the printer. Oh, you want to go to that server, it'll pass it to the MAC address of the server. This is a way for things like switches to know where devices are located and get data directly to them. Well, as I have this here, do I know if this is working or not? Well, I put down here, do I know if, looking at the command prompt, is this NIC functioning? And I put a note here, if the NIC was not functioning, do you think it would show up in the command prompt? Usually not. Usually not. So if I'm seeing this and I'm seeing information about it, and I'll look at this a little bit later. I see all this IP address information down here. If I'm seeing all that, that's a clue that my NIC is functioning. My NIC is functioning. So there's looking at my network card, my NIC at the command prompt. All right. Well, we're going to leave the command prompt open because I'm going to do something else in it. We're going to use a different command. This is a command we'll read about later. I'm going to hit the enter key a couple times. We're going to use the command netstat, and we're going to use -e. Netstat is network statistics. So we're going to look at the network statistics of this guy, netstat -e. So I'm going to ask, hey, can you share with me the Ethernet statistics? And it's going to actually show the amount of bytes sent and received on this PC, most likely since it's been booted. And this is letting me know that, yes, it is passing and receiving data, but that's a static number. So if I wait a couple seconds and then I repeat the same command, netstat -e, and I compare these, well, there was 159, 3159, and now we have 674. Oh yeah, there's more data that's been sent, and over here of 0724 and 1432, yeah, there's been more data received. If I compare those two, I know data has been sent and received over a period of time. So again, I know my network card, my NIC, is functioning. That's a way to see that. That's a way to see that that network card is functioning through the command prompt. All right, before we leave layer 2, we're going to gather some proof that we know our network card, our layer 2 NIC, is functioning. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually open a notepad file or a text editor file. We tend to use Notepad or text editor in networking classes instead of Microsoft Word, because later on, you're going to learn if I put data from like a router or switch into a text editor or notepad file, I can actually pull that data out and put it back into the router or switch with a little bit of formatting. It works well there versus using things like Microsoft Word. So I'm going to click my Windows icon here, and I'll start typing Notepad, and there's my Notepad. That's going to pop right open. I'm going to create a notepad file. I'm going to save it to the desktop and give it a name of something like this. Okay, so I'll do File, Save As, and I'm going to point this to my desktop so I can find it. So let me go out here to desktop. There we go. And I'll give it a name of something like 120 Chapter 1 Lab, and I'm going to make sure I have the .txt file extension. If you want to, you could put out here your name. You could do Brown or Jeff or whatever, and put your name so you can find your file easier. That's up to you. But just make sure you have like 120 Chapter 1 Lab, and that'll help you keep these sorted out as you save these. And again, make sure you leave that txt file extension there. Make sure it's there. So I'll do save, and now I'm going to add to it as I go. So I'm going to put myself a little note here that this is the Chapter 1 Lab file, something like that, so I know. And then I'm going to put a note here that this is Layer 2 data or Layer 2 results or something like that. That way I can keep myself organized in here. What I'm going to do is from my command prompt, I'm going to copy some results and paste them in my text file. So I'm going to slide this over here. And what I'm going to do is up here on my command prompt, I'm going to scroll up. I'm just scrolling with the scroll wheel. I'm going to scroll up till I get to the Ethernet 3. And I'm going to highlight at least these first couple lines. If you go further, that's okay. But I at least want to get the first couple lines here. I'm going to highlight those. And I'm going to hit the Enter key. The Enter key is going to copy that. I'm going to come over here to my notepad, and I'll do a right-click, paste, and it's going to paste all that data in. That shows the MAC address, the NIC, the network card MAC address of your PC. And again, this is unique. All the other PCs in the room have a different number, so this is unique to your lab station. That's the first thing I'm going to plug in. And the next thing is I want to copy my netstat results, and that shows the NIC moving data through. So I'm going to scroll back down. And I'll just highlight. I can do both. That's fine. I'll highlight both there. Hit the Enter key. And I will go back to my notepad. And I will paste it in. Right-click, paste. And there's my netstat results. So there's my MAC address. And there's my netstat. And I will save this file. I'll just do a Control-S or File Save. And save this file. And I'm going to add to it. So we're going to add to it in Layer 3, Layer 4, and so forth. All right? So there's Layer 2. On our network. We're going to come back in the next podcast for Layer 3.